think what we see right now is a master plan that's been embraced by both Israel and the United States that's focused on regime change, using the Iranian nuclear program as justification for this regime change. But it's, the American approach to regime change is long term. Look at the Iraq. It took a decade or more to get rid of Saddam Hussein from 1990 to 2003. Syria was a multi-generational, 20 plus year program of regime change. Iran has been under sanctions for some time now. This Israeli-U.S. attack has set Iran's nuclear program back, hasn't eliminated it though, which I think was by intent, because now it's what I call the inspection trap. It's the same, way that the United States trapped Iraq with weapons of mass destruction, trapped Syria with chemical weapons. Even though Syria gave up its chemical weapons in 2014, 2015 under OPCW inspections, the United States and the West continue to, make allegations of Syria cheating, holding on. And right now you see the same play being done. The IAEA has to be allowed back in. Iran won't, and that's deliberate. This was a deliberate setup by the IAEA to make themselves unwanted in Iran. So, what happens when you don't have inspectors on the ground in an incompletely destroyed or not destroyed at all nuclear program? It allows people to say, oh, they're pursuing a nuclear weapons program. We have to keep the sanctions in place. We have to keep, the pressure on. And it could lead to a situation where you have periodic exchanges of bombing designed to destroy the social fabric of Iran and bring down the Iranian government, which is the objective of the United States and Israel. It's never really been about the nuclear program, because I think the West understands there never was a nuclear weapons program. And I don't believe Iran is going to be pursuing a nuclear weapons program. Just like, after a couple years, Saddam gave up any, desire of having weapons of mass destruction, but we continue to say, oh, he has them, they're secreting. Syria gave up their chemical weapons, but they had them, they were secret. Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapons program, but they have a nuclear program now that's not being inspected by inspectors. So therefore, we believe they have, nuclear. I just think that this is what we're looking at now. It's a variation of a theme that's succeeded in Iraq and in Syria, and Israel and the United States believes it will succeed in Iran as well. The evidence shows that Iran is coming together even stronger. The other thing that's different is that, unlike Iraq, Iran hasn't lost a war. If anybody thinks Iran lost this 12-day war, they aren't taking a look. You mentioned this map of this places struck. Israel today won't allow anybody to truly investigate what happened at the sites that were struck by Iran. I guess the Channel 13 in Israel is talking about, massive damage and massive casualties. I don't know if that's true. It would be difficult for Israel to hide that many deaths. I believe that there would have to be, under the Jewish faith, funerals within a certain period of time. But the fact is, significantly more, targets were hit by Iranian missiles, a much greater number than's being declared by the Israelis, who are trying to, paint the perception of success. And so, Iran is not a defeated nation, and that's sort of the difference. The other thing, both Iraq and Syria, and I don't mean to insult any Iraqis or Syrians, but they were artificial nations, literally carved out of the Ottoman Empire by, France and Great Britain at the end of World War I, sustained for some time with monarchies that weren't, that were imposed on a disparate people who had nothing in common. I mean, Saddam Hussein's, greatest challenge was how to create an Iraqi national identity from Shia, Sunni, Kurds. How do you bring these disparate peoples together? And it was almost a mission impossible for him. Iran is a ancient land. Persian culture goes back, more than 3 millennia. So even more. We're there's just a difference here that Iran is a it took over a decade, as I said, to get rid of Saddam after defeating him in the Gulf War. It took more than 2 decades to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. And this is after a major civil war or foreign-induced civil conflict that almost defeated him. The Russians had to intervene in 2015 to save him. Iran hasn't been defeated. In fact, Iran has punched back very hard against Israel, and Iran still has the ability to intimidate the United States. If you don't think what happened at Al Udeid Air Base wasn't an act of Iranian intimidation, meaning that the United States was purposely trying to avoid major retaliation. Never once did Iraq have that kind of leverage over the United States. Never once did Syria have that kind of leverage over the United States. Iran continues to enjoy that leverage over the United States and, to an extent, Israel. Israel's not yearning to be, once again become a target of, Iran's ballistic missiles.